Mason Petitz is a former U.S. Army Special Forces who was injured and medically discharged after a failed mission to assassinate Paldonian dictator Juan Venegas. In the present day, Petitz is working as a lawyer, a job he despises. One day, Mason is approached by a former Army Special Forces team member, Sebastian Earle, who offers him a highly paid personal security job where he has to protect disgraced journalist Claire Wellington as she goes to Paldonia to interview Venegas. The mission upsets his wife Jenny, who doesn't want their daughter Casey to live without a father. Make sure to subscribe to the channel to see more movie reviews. After arriving in Paldonia and meeting Venegas, they are ambushed by a group that tries to kill Venegas, destroying their cars in the process. Mason fights off and controls the assailants himself alone, and they escape into the jungle after that. Venegas deduces that the coup is led by his nephew Jorge, who hired Colonel Jan Cohorst to kill him. Mason tries to leave Venegas behind while bringing Claire with him. Mason gets deceived by a phone call, and the two are ambushed by more militants. Mason, with a little help from Venegas, fights them off, and the group arrives at a village where Venegas is highly respected. Claire successfully films her interview with Venegas. While Mason bonds further with Claire, he is unable to start a relationship with her, remembering his family back home. The next day, Venegas hints at a real purpose for Mason's job. Mason calls Sebastian, who informs him that he was hired to kill Venegas. Suddenly, Jan and his militants arrive at the village and chase the group. Mason and Venegas manage to escape, while Claire is captured. While on the way to Paldonia's capital, Venegas reveals that he wasn't responsible for killing Mason's friends in the military. He said, "That was a friendly fire." So it means shooting Mason's helicopter was a plan that was executed by the U.S. military. Later, the two stage a trade with Claire, while Venegas reveals that he paid for the revolution as propaganda. The next day, during said trade, Venegas brings the revolutionists to distract Jan, as he, Mason, and Claire run to the palace. There, Venegas convinces Jorge to help him lead the country better, but Jorge is killed when General Martinez, conspiring with him, tries to shoot Venegas. Jan and his army arrive at the palace, and a shootout ensues between them and Venegas's bodyguards, during which Mason fights Jan alone. Jan reveals that he was responsible for killing Mason's crew. Claire, who films the battle, helps Mason defeat Jan. Afterwards, Sebastian and his team arrive and fight Jan's militants. Sometime later, Claire has regained fame for her footage in Paldonia. Venegas resigns from being dictator, and Mason reunites with his family before being gifted $5 million by Venegas. Now, with a newfound purpose in his life, Mason decides to spend more time with his family.